All right. Matt, the mortgage guy here. In today's video, I'm going to talk about buying a house or renting a house. And before I jump into it, if you like straightforward content about real estate, the real estate market, mortgage, and all things related from a mortgage broker who talks to folks on a daily basis, whether that's consumers, whether that's real estate agents, whether it's other industry professionals, I feel like I've got some good insight into some of this stuff. So if you like that, consider subscribing, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. So on the topic of buying a house versus renting a house, I'm not going to come to you as a mortgage professional and give you some buy versus rent and how much you're going to save over the long term and why you should always buy. That is not the point of this video, and that's not the point of my channel. Those that know me know that I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm not here to tell you that every single person that comes across this video should be buying a house, because frankly, some people shouldn't, or they're not ready, or now is not the right time. All I want to do is present what I feel is a really good talking point, and let's have a discussion about it. A lot of talk around the housing market, how expensive, how unaffordable. And I thought to myself the other day, well, people need a place to live. And so although housing prices have gone up, and to some it feels unaffordable, my thought is, what's your option? And not as much focus gets put on the crazy increases on rents and how hard it is to rent, because I hear from clients on a daily basis. I work with hundreds of people every year that are buying homes. And so I know how difficult it is to get your offer accepted, to get yourself in a position to be pre-approved and ready to buy is the easy part, right? Finding a house and getting an offer accepted in today's market is the harder part. But I'm also hearing from renters, and I'm also hearing from friends, family, clients, past clients about how hard it is to find a rental. Once you find it, how expensive it is. Once you're in it, how crazy it is. Year over year rent increases. And I've seen some wild numbers for how rents have increased. So anyhow, in this video, I just want to talk about a few things. I want to share some rental stats. So I'll just dive right in. 36% of households live in rental properties. So 108 million renters, I think it's about 44 million households. And the reason why some of them live in rental properties is because of the perception of affordability. And when I started looking at some of the stats, I think I realized the perception and the reality don't necessarily match, right? Because it feels affordable as a rental, but when you look at the numbers, the average renter spends 31% of their income on rent. Now, my buddy Mike Zuber just did a 50-year chart where we looked at median income versus the payment, and that front-end ratio. In my business and mortgage, the mortgage payment versus your income is a front-end ratio. So on the rental side, when you say they spend 31% of their income on rent, if we looked at mortgage payment versus income, that would be their front-end ratio. It's lower. People are spending less on their mortgage payment than they are in rent when you just look at it. And I understand that this number may be skewed because some people have been in their house for 10 or 15 years, but that is all the more reason, in my opinion, to buy, right? Because listen to this stat. This one will blow your mind. The average 10-year rental rate increase, and this will seem low because we've seen 10, 15% year over year rent increases. But the average over 10 years is a 41% increase. And I think over the last 10 years, it's higher than that. And so it's probably closer to 50%. Meaning, if you're paying $1,000 in rent today, in 10 years, your rent's going to be $1,400 or $1,500. Rent prices go up over time. It's not my opinion, or it's not a guess. It's a fact. If your rent right now is $2,000, and we're talking about 40 to 50% increases, expect in a decade from now for that rent to be $2,800 to $3,000. So with that in mind, if you're looking at a place to buy, you're like, holy moly, this $2,400 a month, it seems unaffordable. It's going to be a stretch for me to buy. I can rent something for about $2,000. Well, sure you can today, but what about next year and the year after? And then sooner or later, that becomes a decade later. And that same place is renting for $2,800 to $3,000. Then what? So one of the stats I saw in relation to that is that 45% of renters regret renting. And I think that's for reasons like that, right? They continue to see rental increases year over year. They look back and they say, wow, if I would have bought 3 years ago, had that $2,250 payment, it felt like a stretch at the time. Now I'm paying more than that in rent. In conclusion, I want to help people get better educated so that they make a decision. Not everybody is going to be ready to buy. Not everybody necessarily has to buy or should buy. But another stat I saw is that 1 in 5 millennials think they'll never be able to afford a home. I mean, that's just sad, right? And for me as a mortgage professional, I deal with folks day in and day out. And, the thing that probably hurts the most is when I've got to tell somebody, sorry, you don't qualify right now. On the other side of that, one of the most rewarding things is you talk to somebody, you put together a plan, 12 months later, 18 months later, 24 months later, they get themselves in a position ready to buy, and they buy and they're ecstatic. Never thought I'd buy. So excited about it. And so if this is you and you're thinking about buying and you want to put yourself in the best position, you want some quote unquote tips, here's a couple things I was thinking about. When I talk to folks and through just viewing thousands of people's scenarios, I can tell you this. When you enter the workforce, every home buyer is different. So it's not everybody just starting off and entering the workforce. But as you start to make more and more money, do not let lifestyle inflation dictate how much you're spending on things like your car, on things like clothes, on things like, extracurricular activities, right? When you were first starting out and you're making $37,000 a year, you didn't need a fancy car. You didn't need expensive vacations. You didn't need, fancy clothes. And so if you continue to live like you did when you were making 37,000 and now you're making 55 or 65, inevitably you're going to be able to tuck away a little bit of that money because you're making an extra 20,000 a year, 30,000 a year. So you're going to have 3% to put down or 5% to put down. And then when you buy a house, that payment is going to feel affordable because you don't have a $650 car payment or a $700 car payment. That car payment is probably one of the biggest deterrents, that and student loan debt, from people getting qualified to buy a house. So if you can avoid student loan debt, great. If you can avoid buying a fancy car, great. The less amount of debt that you have on other stuff, the better position you'll be in for buying a house, which we all know over time increases your wealth. And as we've seen in some of the stuff I went over in this video, allows you to get into a housing payment that you can depend on year after year after year. You don't have to worry about 10, 12, 15% year over year rent increases, or even when it's not as dramatic, it's 40% over a decade. So hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions at all, matt@mattthemortgageguy.com, reach out to me and my team. We're happy to help. If you're outside of California, fill out the quick form down in the description, greatmortgagebroker.com. We're happy to help. If you want to check out my course, Mortgage 101, it's got some great information, whether you're looking to buy, whether you just want to get more educated about mortgage, whether you want to decide whether or not a refinance makes sense. A lot of good information in there, which I believe will help you become a more educated home buyer about, mortgage in general. So anyway, check it out. I appreciate you. Until next time, we gonna see.